Alaska, the hidden Russian America. The last frontier with a forgotten past. America's largest state, twice the size of Texas. A landmass so vast it could swallow most European countries whole. When people think of Alaska, they see glaciers carving into the sea. Grizzly bears catching salmon in wild rivers. The northern lights dancing across Arctic skies. Endless wilderness untouched by human hands. But there's another Alaska, one that most visitors never see. Before it was American, it was Russian. For 126 years, from 1741 to 1867, this land belonged to the Russian Empire. Fur traders, Orthodox missionaries, settlers, and explorers carved outposts into the wilderness. They built churches with onion domes. They married indigenous women. They left children, place names, graves, and ghosts. In 1867, Russia sold Alaska to the United States for $7.2 million, less than 2 cents per acre. Americans called it Seward's Folly, a frozen wasteland, a mistake. But the Russians knew what they were leaving behind. Today, traces of Russian America remain, hidden in coastal villages, preserved in Orthodox churches, spoken in hybrid languages, written on weathered gravestones. This is Alaska's forgotten layer, a colonial history that predates American statehood by a century. The story of a land that was Russian before it was American, and indigenous long before it was either. This is the hidden Russian America. Sitka, where Russia built its capital on the outer coast of the Alaska Panhandle, where the Pacific Ocean meets towering mountains. The approach by water is breathtaking. Forested islands scattered across blue-grey water. Mount Edgecumbe, an extinct volcano, rises 3,200 feet. Perfectly conical, often snow-capped even in summer. Eagles circle overhead. Sea otters float in kelp beds. This was New Archangel, Novo Archangel, the capital of Russian America from 1808 to 1867. St. Michael's Cathedral dominates downtown Sitka. A Russian Orthodox church with white walls and a golden onion dome topped with a 3-bar cross. Just beyond the cathedral, Castle Hill rises above the harbour. This was where the Russian governor's mansion stood. Baranov Castle, a grand building with ballrooms and libraries. The center of colonial power. In 1867, the Russian flag was lowered here. The American flag raised, the ceremony marking the official transfer of Alaska from Russia to the United States. The castle burned down in 1894, Now, only the hill remains. Islands rising from mist, fishing boats heading out. The sun breaking over peaks. Sitka National Historical Park preserves 113 acres of coastal, temperate rainforest. Trails wind beneath Sitka spruce and western hemlock, some over 200 feet tall. Moss drapes everything. The air smells of salt and cedar. Along the trails, totem poles, tall, carved, painted. Each one tells a Tlingit story: raven, bear, eagle, killer whale. These are replicas of poles carved in the late 1800s. But they represent something older, a culture that was here long before Russia, long before America. At the mouth of Indian River, there's a clearing where the Tlingit fort once stood. In 1804, Russian forces attacked. The Tlingit defended for days. When their ammunition ran out, they retreated into the forest, singing. The Russians built their capital on the ruins. The Tlingit never left. From the park, trails lead to the coastline. Black sand beaches, driftwood bleached white. Waves rolling in from the open Pacific. On clear days, you can see whales breaching offshore. Sitka sits at the intersection of three histories: Tlingit, Russian, American. All three are visible at once. In the totem poles, the onion dome, the American flags, it's beautiful. Complicated, impossible to simplify. The cathedral has been rebuilt more than once, each time by the local community. Not as a museum piece, but as a living church. Carpenters followed old photographs and surviving plans. Craftsmen shaped the onion dome by hand. Even the bells were recast to match their original sound. What stands today is not a replica meant to look old, but a continuation of something never fully lost. For generations, the cathedral has marked time in Sitka. Weddings, funerals, feast days, and quiet weekday prayers all pass beneath its dome. Its presence anchors the town. A reminder that this remote Alaskan harbor was once tied directly to St. Petersburg. The Russian Orthodox world stretching across an ocean and a continent. Mount Edgecumbe, the sacred volcano. From anywhere in Sitka, you see Mount Edgecumbe, an extinct volcano on Kruzof Island, 15 miles west of town. Perfectly symmetrical, often compared to Mount Fuji. The Tlingit call it Luk Shah, the mountain behind the face of the village. It last erupted around 2,000 years ago. Now it's dormant, covered in snow and ice even in summer. On clear days, rare in southeast Alaska, the mountain dominates the horizon. Blue sky, white peak, ocean in between. Clouds often wrap around the summit, giving it a mystical quality. Appearing, disappearing, never the same twice. The Russians saw it when they arrived in the 1700s. They called it Mount Edgecumbe, after a British naval officer. But to the Tlingit, it was sacred long before it had a European name. Today, you can hike to the summit. It's a challenging trek. About 7 miles one way, gaining 3,000 feet. The trail cuts through dense rainforest, then alpine meadows, then volcanic rock and snow. From the top, on a rare clear day, you see the entire Alexander Archipelago. Islands stretching north and south, the Pacific Ocean to the west. Sitka Sound to the east. It's one of the most spectacular views in Alaska. And it's a view the Russians knew, the same mountain they saw when they built their capital. The same silhouette against the same sky. For the Tlingit, the mountain was not something to conquer or name, but something to live beside. Stories place it at the edge of the world they knew, watching over the water routes and the villages below. Its presence was a constant, unchanging, powerful, beyond human timelines. Even when hidden by clouds, it was understood to be there. Mount Edgecumbe has outlasted every chapter written beneath it. Tlingit canoes, Russian ships, American towns. Flags raised and lowered. Through all of it, the volcano remained silent. Unmoving, a fixed point in a place shaped by change. In Sitka, history shifts, but the mountain stays. Even today, Mount Edgecumbe feels less like scenery and more like a witness. It does not tell stories, but it holds them. Every arrival, every departure, every moment when people believed they were shaping this place. Long after capitals moved and empires faded, the mountain still stands above the water, calm and patient, unchanged by who happens to be looking up at it. Kodiak Island. Bears, Russians, and the wild coast. Kodiak Island sits in the Gulf of Alaska, 30 miles off the mainland. It's the second largest island in the United States. 3,588 square miles of mountains, forests, rivers, and coastline. And it's home to the Kodiak brown bear, the largest land predator in North America. Some males weigh 1,500 pounds. They stand 10 feet tall on their hind legs. There are roughly 3,500 bears on Kodiak Island, about the same as the human population. The island is roadless except for a small network around the town of Kodiak. The rest is accessible only by boat or float plane. Flying over Kodiak is stunning. Emerald valleys, rivers braided like silver threads, snow-capped peaks rising straight from the ocean, bears fishing in streams visible from above as brown dots against green. The town of Kodiak sits on the northeastern shore, facing the mainland. Fishing boats crowd the harbour. Canneries line the waterfront. The smell of salt and fish hangs in the air. This was the first capital of Russian America. In 1784, Russian fur traders established a settlement on the southern tip of the island. For nearly 2 decades, Kodiak was the center of Russian operations in Alaska. The Holy Resurrection Russian Orthodox Cathedral stands near the waterfront. White walls, blue onion dome, 3-bar cross. Built in 1945 to replace an earlier church destroyed by fire, it serves a congregation that includes descendants of Russian settlers and indigenous Alutiiq people. On Sundays, the church fills, chanting in Slavonic, incense rising, icons glowing in candlelight. Outside, the landscape is overwhelming. Mountains surround the town. The ocean stretches to the horizon. Weather changes by the hour. Sun, rain, fog, wind, all in the same afternoon. 12 miles north of Kodiak town is Spruce Island, accessible only by boat. The island is dense with forest, Sitka spruce, hemlock, moss covering everything. Rain falls constantly, even in summer. In the late 1700s, Russian monks came here as missionaries. Most left. The conditions were too harsh. One stayed, Father Herman. He lived in a tiny cabin, taught the Alutiiq people, defended them from the abuses of the Russian-American company. He died in 1836 and was buried here. In 1970, he was canonized as Saint Herman of Alaska, the first Orthodox saint in North America. Today, a small monastery sits on the island. A few monks live year-round, maintaining the site, welcoming pilgrims who arrive by boat. The forest is thick and quiet. Trails lead through moss-covered trees to St. Herman's Spring. A small pool of clear water, considered holy. His grave is marked with a simple wooden cross. Pilgrims leave icons, candles, prayers written on paper. The silence is profound. No roads, no crowds, just forest, ocean, and faith. From the island, you can see the mountains of Kodiak across the water. Bears roam the slopes. Eagles nest in the trees. It's a place where wilderness and devotion coexist. Kenai Fjords, National Park, ice and time south of Anchorage. The Kenai Peninsula juts into the Gulf of Alaska. At its southern tip lies Kenai Fjords National Park. 600,000 acres of mountains, glaciers, and coastline carved by ice. The Harding Icefield covers 700 square miles. One of the largest ice fields in the United States. From it, nearly 40 glaciers flow down into valleys and the sea. The most accessible, Exit Glacier. A road leads to the glacier's edge. Trails climb alongside it. You can walk right up to the face. wall of blue ice 100 feet tall, groaning and creaking as it shifts. Signs along the trail mark where the glacier's edge was in different years. 1815, 1850, 1900, 1950, 2000. The retreat is dramatic. In 200 years, the glacier has pulled back more than a mile. Climate change is visible here, measurable, undeniable. But for the Russians, who came in the 1700s, the glaciers were advancing. The Little Ice Age was still gripping the northern hemisphere. These valleys were even colder, even more forbidding. From Exit Glacier, you can hike up to the Harding Icefield itself. It's an 8-mile round trip, gaining 3,500 feet. The trail climbs through forest, then alpine meadows filled with wildflowers in summer, then snow and ice. At the top, the ice field stretches to the horizon. White, endless, broken only by the black peaks of Nunataks poking through. It's one of the most surreal landscapes in North America. A frozen desert, silent except for the wind. From here, you understand the scale of Alaska's ice. How it shapes the land, how it defines the coast. The Russians never saw this view. They stayed along the coast in kayaks and small boats, trading for furs. But they knew the ice. They saw glaciers carving into the sea. They navigated fjords choked with icebergs. The ice that defined Alaska for them is melting now, retreating, changing the landscape they once claimed. Each marker feels like a quiet confrontation. You stand in forest that didn't exist when the ice filled the valley. Looking at dates that move faster as you climb. The gaps between signs shrink. Decades disappear in a few steps. What once retreated slowly now pulls back within a human lifetime. The glacier doesn't vanish all at once. It thins, cracks deepen. Streams of meltwater carve channels beneath the ice, rushing downhill toward the sea. The sound is constant, dripping, flowing, collapsing. A reminder that even something this massive is always in motion, always responding to time. Standing at the edge of the ice, it's impossible to escape the sense of scale. The glacier is ancient, yet its withdrawal feels immediate. You are not just looking at geology, but at time itself moving away from you. Slowly, steadily, and without pause. Resurrection Bay and Seward. The gateway to Russian waters. At the head of Resurrection Bay sits the town of Seward. Named after William Seward, the US Secretary of State, who negotiated the purchase of Alaska from Russia in 1867. The town is small, fewer than 3,000 year-round residents. But in summer, it swells with tourists. Cruise ships, RVs, fishermen, hikers. Seward is the gateway to Kenai Fjords National Park. Boat tours leave daily, heading out into the bay and beyond. Into the fjords where glaciers meet the ocean. Resurrection Bay itself is stunning. Mountains rise directly from the water, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 feet. Snow clings to peaks even in July. Waterfalls cascade down cliffs. The water is deep, cold and clear. Seals haul out on rocks. Sea otters float on their backs. Cracking open shellfish. Orcas patrol the bay, hunting salmon. In the early morning, before the tour boats leave, the bay is perfectly still, mountains reflected in glassy water. The silence broken only by the splash of a seal diving, the cry of an eagle. This is the Alaska the Russians saw. Unchanged in 250 years. The boat tours head south out of Resurrection Bay into the open ocean. Waves pick up. Spray hits the deck. Then you enter the fjords. Ayalik Bay, Northwestern Fjord, Harris Bay, steep walls rising on both sides. Waterfalls pouring from hanging valleys. Glaciers spilling into the sea. Ayalik Glacier is one of the most active. Its face is a mile wide, 300 feet tall. The ice is blue, deep electric blue where the sunlight penetrates. Boats idle a quarter-mile offshore, engines off, everyone watching, waiting. Then it happens. A crack like a gunshot, a section of ice breaks free, thousands of tons falling into the ocean. The sound echoes off the fjord walls. Waves radiate outward, calving. The process that has been shaping this coast for millennia. The Russians witnessed this. They called it ice thunder. Today, it happens more often. The glaciers are retreating faster. The climate warming. But the spectacle remains. After the calving, the boat moves closer. Ice chunks float in the water, some the size of cars. Seals rest on them, watching the boat with dark, curious eyes. The air is cold even in summer. You can smell the ice, clean, ancient, mineral. This is the Alaska that exists beyond human time, beyond empires, beyond politics. Ice, water, stone. Life adapting to extremes. The Alaska Range and Denali. The high one. North of Anchorage, the Alaska Range cuts across the state like a spine. At its center rises Denali, formerly Mount McKinley, the tallest mountain in North America. Indigenous Athabascan peoples called it Denali for centuries, before it was renamed McKinley in 1896. In 2015, the name was officially changed back to Denali. From Anchorage, on clear days, you can see Denali 130 miles to the north. A white pyramid rising above everything else. Massive, solitary, dominating the horizon. But clear days are rare. Denali creates its own weather. Clouds wrap around the summit, storms brew and dissipate. The mountain hides more often than it reveals. Denali National Park covers 6 million acres. One road, 92 miles long, penetrates the park. No other roads, no other development. Drive the road in summer, and you see tundra stretching to the horizon. Caribou grazing, grizzly bears digging for roots. Wolves crossing valleys, tall sheep on distant ridges. And above it all, when the clouds part, Denali. The mountain is sacred to the Koyukon Athabascan people. They believe it's a place where the world was born. A place you don't climb unless invited. Mountaineers from around the world come here to attempt the summit. The success rate is around 60%. The mountain is cold, remote, and unpredictable. Many turn back. Some don't come back at all. But from the ground, from Wonder Lake, from Reflection Pond, on a rare clear day, Denali is simply overwhelming. White, massive, eternal. The Russians never climbed it. They barely saw it. Their settlements were coastal. The interior was largely unknown to them. But the indigenous people knew. They lived beneath its shadow. They told stories about it. And those stories survived, even when the empires changed. For the Athabascan people, Denali was not measured in feet or conquered by roots. It was addressed with respect, spoken about carefully, and approached with humility. The mountain was a presence, not a destination. Something that shaped the land, the weather, and the lives of those who lived nearby. To name it was to acknowledge its power, not to claim it. Today, Denali stands as one of the few places where that older understanding still feels intact. Even with maps, permits, and modern gear, the mountain remains indifferent. It reveals itself when it chooses. It allows passage or denies it without explanation. Beneath its vast silence, human ambition fades. And what remains is the same awe that has always lived here. Seen from a distance, Denali doesn't feel like part of the landscape so much as the source of it. Rivers begin at its glaciers. Weather radiates outward. The land seems to organize itself around the mountain's presence. Long before borders or names, Denali stood where it still stands. high, unmoved, and watching everything change below. Even today, people wait for Denali. Drivers pull over along the highway. Campers wake before dawn. Photographers sit in silence, lenses ready, knowing the mountain may appear for minutes or not at all. When it does, the moment feels earned, as if the land has decided to share something private. And when the clouds close again, Denali does not feel gone. It feels present in absence. The cold air, the long shadows, the vast quiet of the tundra all point back to it. A mountain not defined by how often it is seen, but by how deeply it is felt. In winter, Denali becomes even more remote. Temperatures plunge far below zero. The sun barely clears the horizon. The mountain turns blue and pale gold in the low light. Vast and unreachable, shaping the silence of the interior. Few people come this time of year. The land belongs to wind, snow, and time. Through every season, Denali endures without ceremony. It does not announce itself. It does not need to. Long after roads end and stories fade, the mountain remains. Steady, patient, and unchanged. Holding the same place it always has in the heart of Alaska. Anchorage, where old and new collide. Anchorage is not a Russian city. It's modern, American, practical. Founded in 1914 as a railroad construction camp, it's now home to nearly 300,000 people, almost half of Alaska's population. But even here, the Russian legacy persists. The city sprawls along the coast of Cook Inlet, with the Chugach Mountains rising directly behind. On clear days, you see Denali to the north. Mount Redoubt, an active volcano, to the southwest. The Tony Knowles Coastal Trail runs 11 miles along the water, from downtown to Kincaid Park. It's one of the most scenic urban trails in America. Bike or walk it, and you see the city on one side, wilderness on the other, beluga whales in the inlet, moose browsing in the birch trees, bears occasionally wandering through. At sunset, the mountains glow pink. The water turns silver. Planes take off from Lake Hood, the busiest seaplane base in the world. Rising into golden light. St. Innocent Russian Orthodox Cathedral sits in Midtown Anchorage. named after St. Innocent of Alaska, a Russian missionary who translated the Bible into indigenous languages. The cathedral is large, modern, functional. But inside it feels timeless. Icons, incense, chanting in Slavonic. On Sundays, the congregation is diverse. Russians, Aleuts, Filipinos, converts from across Alaska. The Russian past isn't dead in Anchorage, it's woven into the present. The Aleut people endured all of it. Forced relocations, disease, violence, entire villages emptied. Yet their presence remains woven into the islands. Through language, fishing traditions, and an understanding of the sea that no outsider ever fully grasped. Survival here required knowledge passed down quietly. Lake Clark National Generation Park. After generation. Weather is the true ruler of the Aleutians. Winds howl without warning. Seas rise fast and unforgiving. Fog can swallow a shoreline in minutes. Every structure, every voyage, every plan exists at the mercy of conditions that cannot be negotiated with. Wildlife thrives where people struggle. Seabird colonies crowd the cliffs, puffins, murreys, auklets, filling the air with motion and sound. Sea lions haul out on rocky beaches. Whales migrate past the chain, following ancient routes older than any map. In the end, the Aleutians resist permanence. Nothing here feels settled or final. Empires reached this far and stopped. Armies came and left. What remains is wind, water, volcanoes, and a narrow ribbon of land stretching toward Asia. Silent proof of how far humans tried to go. Even today, standing on a cliff and looking west, you feel the vastness pressing in. The ocean stretches endlessly. Clouds tumble over volcanic peaks. The islands vanish one by one into mist. It's a place that humbles anyone who arrives. A reminder that some edges of the world are meant to be wild, untamed, and beyond control. Volcanoes and wilderness west of Anchorage, across Cook Inlet, lies Lake Clark National Park. 4 million acres, no roads, accessible only by float plane. The park contains volcanoes, glaciers, tundra, boreal forest, coastal rainforest, rivers full of salmon, and 2 active volcanoes, Mount Redoubt and Mount Iliamna. Flying into Lake Clark is spectacular. The plane lifts off from Anchorage, crosses the inlet, and enters a landscape that feels untouched. Turquoise lakes, braided rivers, mountains rising 10,000 feet, glaciers spilling down valleys, bears fishing in streams, caribou moving across ridges. No sign of human presence except for a few scattered cabins. Mount Redoubt, 10,197 feet, last erupted in 2009. It's still active, still steaming. From the air, you can see the crater, a dark scar on white ice. Mount Iliamna, 10,016 feet, is older, quieter, but still occasionally vents steam. These volcanoes are part of the Ring of Fire, the chain of volcanic activity that encircles the Pacific Ocean. The Russians knew about these mountains. They saw them from the coast. They called them Smoking Mountains, but they never explored them. Too remote, too dangerous. Today, Lake Clark is one of the least visited national parks in the United States. Fewer than 20,000 visitors per year. It's wilderness in the truest sense. Vast, indifferent, beautiful. Everywhere you look, the scale overwhelms. Rivers carve valleys deeper than any road could follow. Glaciers glint in sunlight, shifting slowly, imperceptibly. Wildlife moves freely, guided by instinct and seasons, untouched by fences or development. You realize how small human presence is in a place this vast. At night, the silence is complete. No city hum, no distant plains. Just wind, water, and the occasional rumble from a distant glacier or a venting volcano. The stars feel impossibly close, mirrored in the lakes below. Here, you are not alone, but you are insignificant, a visitor in a land that has endured for millennia and will endure long after. The rivers teem with life. Salmon surge upstream, leaping over rocks and rapids, unaware of the humans watching from the banks. Bears wait patiently, catching fish with practiced precision, teaching the unspoken rhythm of survival in this harsh yet generous land. Flying above the park, the mountains stretch endlessly. Glaciers glinting like broken mirrors. Every ridge, every peak tells a story of fire and ice, of movement measured in centuries rather than hours. In Lake Clark, the wilderness isn't just seen. It's felt deep in your bones. Leaving a quiet awe that lingers long after you leave. The Aleutian Islands, the chain to Russia, west of the Alaska Peninsula. The Aleutian Islands stretch toward Russia like a broken bridge. More than 300 islands. 1,200 miles, volcanic, treeless, constantly battered by wind, fog, and storms. This is where Russian colonization began. In 1741, Vitus Bering sailed from Kamchatka and made landfall in the Aleutians. His crew brought back sea otter pelts. The fur rush began. Within decades, Russian fur traders had enslaved the Aleut people, forcing them to hunt sea otters to near extinction. Today, the Aleutians are remote, sparsely populated, and hauntingly beautiful. Unalaska is one of the largest islands. The town of Unalaska Dutch Harbor sits on its northern shore, clustered around one of the most productive fishing ports in America. The landscape is stark. Treeless hills, volcanic peaks, grass blown flat by constant wind. The sky is always grey, the sea always restless. But dominating the town is the Holy Ascension Russian Orthodox cathedral, white walls, green onion dome, 3-bar cross. Built in 1896, it's one of the oldest Russian Orthodox churches still standing in Alaska. From the hillside above town, you can see the entire bay. Fishing boats, processing plants, mountains rising from the water, and beyond the open Pacific. Nothing between here and Japan but 3,000 miles of ocean. Further west, the islands become more remote. Fewer people, harsher conditions. Some islands are uninhabited, volcanic, active, smoking. Mount Shishaldin on Unimak Island is one of the most active volcanoes in the Aleutians. A perfect cone rising 9,673 feet, almost always steaming. From the air flying over the Aleutian chain, you see the scale of this place. Islands scattered across the ocean like stepping stones. Clouds swirling. Waves crashing against cliffs. It feels like the edge of the world. And in a way, it is. The farthest reaches of what Russia claimed. The last islands before Asia stand on Atu Island, the westernmost island in the chain. And Russia is just 450 miles away. The Aleutians are the forgotten frontier, the place where Russia and America almost touch. The sail that wasn't the end. On October 18, 1867 in Sitka, the Russian flag came down. The American flag went up. Alaska changed hands. $7.2 million. A transaction on paper. But the land didn't change. The mountains stayed. The glaciers stayed. The volcano stayed. And some of the people stayed. The Russians left, yes. But their descendants remained. Their churches remained. Their names remained. Today, you can still see the onion domes rising above fishing villages. You can still hear prayers in Slavonic. You can still walk trails the Russians walked. Alaska is the last frontier. But it's also the hidden Russian America. A layer of history most people never see. The glaciers are melting. The climate is changing. The wilderness is shrinking. But the memory persists. In gold domes against grey skies. In crosses on hilltops. In bloodlines and place names. And the stories people tell. Russia sold Alaska. But Alaska remembers. The Aleutians whisper it. The bears of Kodiak, the spruce of Sitka, the peaks of the Alaska Range. They remember too, in ways humans cannot fully read. The land carries the echoes of Russian ships, of fur traders, of monks who lived in isolation for faith. Every stone, every tree, every glacier holds a fragment of that past. Even in towns rebuilt by fire and storm, you can trace it. Streets named for Russian settlers. Churches that survived decades of neglect. Families who still speak the language of an empire that once reached across the ocean. History lingers in the small, ordinary things, refusing to be erased. The wilderness itself is a witness. Denali still towers over tundra. Edgecumbe still rises above the sea. Kenai glaciers still carve valleys. The mountains and rivers do not care about borders or sails. They endure, silent, unchanged, keeping the memory alive. Alaska is layered. Every layer tells a story. Tlingit, Aleut, Russian, American. They coexist, overlapping like the ice and stone of the land itself. The sail may have ended an empire's claim, but it did not end the land, the people, or the memory. Alaska remembers.